Are you dreaming of the lifestyle that comes with successful trading? Well, it's time to make it a reality. Welcome to the Trading Ascension podcast, where you can discover methods to improve your trading results by focusing on your trading psychology. I'm Jason E., your guide on this path to trading improvement, self-discovery, and self-mastery. Together, we'll explore the personal and spiritual growth journey of profitable day trading. Prepare to unlock the secrets of the trader's mind and align your inner self with your personal success. Listen to this episode if you want to ascend to new levels of trading excellence and personal development. This is Trading Ascension, supporting your journey to mastering trading psychology and personal growth for consistent profits. Let's elevate your trading and your consciousness starting now. In today's episode, let's start the season off with a talk about confidence. I want to speak on some tools that we can use to build a thorough understanding of our trading skill set, which will grant us confidence. This is just another approach towards the nemesis of traders, which is ambiguity and how to defeat it. This episode is for traders who have a strategy and are looking to solidify that strategy into a pure edge, because that leap right there is a journey within itself. Even the turtle traders who were given a strategy that provided an edge in the market, they had to go through extensive training to make the edge on paper a reality. Maybe you have a way to enter the market in a way that more times than not, your timing will lead to profits over time. Not every time, but over time. For me, I have a way to enter the market. It's paid me well at times. Then at times, I fail to follow my own rules, but the effectiveness of when I do the things right, it never changes. And for some, that might be like, wow, that's a great problem to have, as they may have not found a way of getting trading results. And then for others, that battle with self can be the biggest battle on this path. And my self-sabotage is not a demon that's dead. It's mostly dormant, but it can at times fly out of its cave like a hungry dragon, right, that just woke up and come for me. And when it comes to my goals, I'm real rigid than a lot of people I interact with when it comes to getting the results that I want, not settling for lesser results, although those lesser results are really great sometimes. So this show is some tools that I use to keep the dragon of sabotage and negative thinking asleep. And if they do awake, tools to battle him. When we focus on decreasing ambiguity, we move forward as day traders. And this is done by focusing on the growth zone. And I don't think we've talked about the growth zone in a while. I don't know if we mentioned it, and maybe the beginning of last season. But the growth zone is absolutely, hands down, without a doubt, the only place in which we can grow and improve as traders. Anything else that we do is just to prepare for the growth zone. When you know this, and when you accept this, you can waste less time doing things in your trading business that actually don't move the needle. The growth zone is taking a live trade. When you go into a live trade with a plan, then you document the results. You can start to learn from your actions and you can correct your plan. This is that experience piece, because you can plan for things and then sometimes the market throws something at you and you have to solve it. And from my own experience and talking to professional and experienced traders, the amount of issues we face, they can be finite, right? It doesn't go on forever. There's not new problems that you face once you start to get more experience as a trader. You start to see the same things, which means although the market is ever changing, the way we engage with it can be mastered. And so You can never be a master of all aspects of trading, however, you can be a master at your trading system. And it starts with your strategy, right? Our strategy and our mindset to support our strategy. A huge part of deploying that strategy for it to be effective is how confident you are at the moment of taking action. And you might say, why, right? Because I know listeners on the show, you guys understand this, but just in general, season 1. So in case we have new listeners, let's explain this. Why is that? Why does confidence help a day trader? So let's break that down before we move forward. Confidence by definition, right, is a belief or a conviction that an outcome will be favorable. And this is beneficial for traders because our mindset filters, distorts, and affects our perspective. As the mind takes in billions of bits of information every moment, unconsciously, there are a few processes that go on according to our, studies in, neuroscience and just science in general, right? First, the mind's going to delete information, things that aren't important. It's going to filter things that can be of relevance. And then it's going to distort what's left in a way that provides a neural pathway home for that information. And that's all based on 1, right, what we already know, 2, what we believe, and what we believe is possible is part of that. And then 3, how we feel at that moment. So the process that the brain automatically goes through, distort, delete, generalize, it's all affected by how we feel at any given moment. So confidence allows the subconscious mind and that process to favor us, to filter in an empowering way. Since we get what we focus on, a focus on a desired result best serves us as traders. So this confidence that I'm talking about, it has to be there and it has to be relevant to trading, right? I can't wake up and be like, oh, damn, I'm sexy as hell, right? And trade well. That confidence won't transfer, right? It won't bleed out. Now, certain kinds of confidence does leak into trading, right? In certain aspects. And I'll give a tool at the end of the show of one of the things that kind of leaks into our trading. But we won't go down the path of the differences today. Let's focus on the foundation of confidence that traders need. We can view it as a strong knowing, right? Because we're fighting ambiguity. Information, understanding, and knowing is the opposite of ambiguity. Because confidence for day traders comes in the form of knowing what to do. For example, knowing when our entry is, best to deploy, when it's time to play. And most importantly, like when it's time to sit out, when it's not time for us to get into the market. So I called this episode The Flame of Knowing. And I call it a flame because if you've ever started a fire or even just watched a fire being created without a flame, it starts with heat, right? Then that heat needs kindle, right? And from there, you built that small flame into a big flame. And this is the building of a fire. Basically, it's momentum when we think about that process for traders. So let's explore this analogy. When you're rubbing sticks together or maybe spinning wood on a point for fire, it takes consistency, right? You have to get that one spot warm enough for combustion. Then that fire starts. And then at that point, this is key, you have to change the actions, right? Once the fire starts, you're not rubbing or spinning the wood anymore. You start blowing the flame while adding fuel, right? Or more things to burn. So if you don't understand that, pull up a video of, starting a fire from scratch and watch someone spin a stick at a point and watch them and relate that to your trading. The consistency and then adding fuel is basically the process there and how it relates to us. To be a consistent trader, we're talking about consistent input, right? Not output, things that we can control. All of your efforts are putting results, habits, thoughts into one box. This week, don't take random actions. Build a habit of doing what your plan requires of you. because this is key. When that flame starts, meaning you're getting some traction, right? You need to stop that flame building stage. And I think a lot of traders get caught here and they start going backwards. So what do I mean? This is where they have some heat, right? Some results, that small flame, but then they stay in the flame building stage, right? So if you watch that video of a fire being started, you see them spinning the stick on a point, right? Sharp stick, points facing down. Maybe they have one of the strings, whatever it is to spin that stick. There's a certain point where it gets hot enough to start smoking. And at that point, you don't keep spinning. You have to change what you do. So how does that relate to a trader? Well, I know a trader, let me give you an example, who does a live stream every day. And the live stream is focused on and has the goal of adjusting their strategy to make it work. Now, traders, once you have something that can potentially work, you have to lock in and not adjust it for a period of time that can provide you a very large sample size. Mark Douglas warned us about, strategy switching. And a lot of times people think like, oh, I'm throwing out this strategy and getting a whole new approach. But a lot of times what kills us and what kills traders is tweaking. That's a change too. Tweaking your strategy is changing your strategy. Now, there are times when this is the nuance, as we always talk about, because there's times when we have to change our strategy. But once you know that this strategy has potential, maybe you've back tested, and now it's time to take it to the growth zone and implement it. At that point, stop tweaking. Get data. The data is going to lead to the changes versus, oh, it didn't work in this one iteration, so I'm going to make a change. When you can see over the time of many iterations, well, maybe it does work, right? So you want to switch at that point and change your mindset to this is my strategy. I am going to develop the skill of deploying this strategy versus tweaking this strategy to make it work. You need that large sample size. You must take that small flame and make it larger, and you have to switch that mindset. If not, if you keep tweaking, you're going to have that small flame. You're going to have small results. Don't get results and then look for, how to change things for better results. You can get better results through the maturation, right? Is that the word? The maturation? The maturing of your strategy, getting better at what is working unlocks new levels. But when we aren't set in what we're doing, we invite ambiguity, right? We don't have confidence, right? So, I'm going to test out my strategy today, see what works. That's not confidence. And then we're inviting ambiguity and we're going in circles. It's not about seeing what works once you know something works. And this is, again, for people, if you've gotten a strategy for someone, it works for them. Or if you're past the stage of minute tweaking and back testing and you're ready to deploy this and make it happen in the market, right? The second half of this game. If I was going to say two parts, right? Finding the strategy to deploying the strategy. And the second part is a totally different path. Deploying a strategy, getting results with that strategy is not the same as the path of developing, creating, tweaking a strategy. Although tweaking is part of the strategy, but that comes from experience in the growth zone. What does it do in the live market? Over time, large data points. So as we grow our flame of knowing, it does three major things that I want to talk about. Like I mentioned before, that brain process, it gives us a great chance to be accurate, right? We're focused on filtering information and seeing the market through the lens of this is going to work, through confidence. 2, it allows us to ride the wave of unfortunate events in trading, right? When you have taken action consistently in a certain way, you're locking in on that one way, right? This is the only way I enter the market. I've done it so many times. I have so many pictures of it that I feel pretty confident about this. And what that does is that builds the flame big enough to consume anything that is counter to your desire. So I lose a trade. Well, if that flame is small, it's going to smother. It's going to put it out. You feel like you're mentally and emotionally starting over all the time. But if that flame is big because you've been consistent in putting all your action into that same bucket, you're going to be more confident. And the doubt is going to get consumed by that flame, the flame of knowing. And then the last thing, right, benefit of this is the flame of knowing. It's going to give you more confidence to do the same thing and do the right thing again. Kind of fuels the cycle. And I heard somebody on a podcast talking about results and how results can only be locked in, or how change can only be locked in once someone sees results. Now, I searched high and wide. You guys know I always like to bring, research, peer journals and things like that, but I couldn't find a lot of information on that. So I'm still looking at that, but I do believe it has some validity to it, meaning that once you see something's working, you're more likely to take that action again, right? So that's number 3. So as we are taking action this week, focus on doing the exact same thing, only taking that A plus setup. Be limited in the action you take so you can build a habit in one specific area. It's going to get you to confidence faster. And this is going to take patience because the perfect setups don't come as often as the C+ setups or the B setups, right? So when you're taking all of them, I'll take an A, B, or C setup. Anything in that rim that kind of looks like I should get in is a lot different. So this week, I want you to say this to yourself. I'm trading quality over quantity. This week, I'm trading quality over quantity. Make that your affirmation. This one action, if you can do it every day, this will build confidence in your precision, helping limit ambiguity. And, you think you might want to take that C trade and see it, and then you're in ambiguity. Like, should I take this? Should I not? And it's a lot different mindset from, oh, there's my trade. Yeah, I'm ready to rock and roll. That's it. That's the A+. Totally different mindset. And again, we're talking about input, not output, because sometimes you take the A+, the market says no. But you can't control the market anyway. So why worry about it? We control what we can control, and that is us taking the best trades possible. Totally different mindset, right? As it moves you from the I'm experimenting in this to this is the action I take to bring incredible results. The intention behind that action and your action of trading, it's huge. And this slight action and attitude adjustment may seem small, but it's the difference between profitable and inconsistent trading. And a lot of times we look at traders and for those who are, like the audience of this show and like this community, you're always looking for those mental clues. You look at a person, you say, yeah, there's some differences between us, but the biggest difference in the results they're getting, what I'm getting, is how they believe and how they think. And when they always say success leaves clues, it's never things that you can see, but I'm telling you that a slight difference is the action and the attitude adjustment. Along with locking in on specific habits, meaning you're taking, A+ setups, you need to celebrate the times that you're successful in taking the action that you told yourself to take. And you need to be upfront and honest with yourself when you're off track, right? Don't allow your wrong actions to go unnoticed, right? A lot of times we want to not take a picture of that trade that we entered, and then it was a C trade instead of A+, right? We shy away from taking a picture. We don't want to journal about it, but bring it to the light. Bring it to the light. Don't hide your mistakes. Now, from yourself, right? I'm not saying go tell the world or anything like that. Don't hide it from yourself. Don't run from it. If you took that action, there's something in you that believes that action was the right thing to do at the time, right? We've talked about Bill Harris, one of my mentors before, and how he says there are no wrong actions, right? Just kind of wrong goals, wrong desires. So when we hide and we don't acknowledge and we don't become accountable for the actions we take, we never uncover the mindset that was pulling that action towards it. But I know, and you may know this, and if not, you'll find out on this trading journey, that in the right mindset, you are pulled towards those desired results and things just flow a lot easier. There are times when I have a trade, waiting, and there are two voices and they start to battle. And one says, you know what, this isn't ideal, right? Well, let's stop before the market gets us in, right? Just have that. I'm waiting for price to hit a certain level, limit order. And then there's another voice that might say, yeah, just keep it there. It might work. See what happens. And the more I give into the might work voice, the C plus trade, the B plus trade might do the trick this time, the more my week ends up in a bad place from a grading standpoint. Even if the results work out, right? Again, we're talking about input, things we can control. Even if the results work out and I win that C plus trade, I grade bad, right? Because I'm honest with myself about the entry that I'm looking for and if I adhere to that plan. So at the end of the week, my grades are bad. And despite the P&L, I'm like, oh, this is a problem, right? And eventually it catches up with you, right? And over the course of a few weeks, you may not reach those goals. Process over outcome, my friends. So this week's action steps is taking better trades, even though you'll take less amounts of trades. And this is going to grow your flame of knowing, your flame of confidence, and it's going to guide you through to the results you want. The last thing I want to impress upon you, right? And I'll get out of here as we start this season. I'm getting back into this. I'm excited. Like, I got some great guests we're going to have. I've been trying to put into words some of my experiences since the last season and some of the highs and lows and, career highs and emotional lows and the middle ground and just everything that I like to experience. Probably too much, right? I probably should get off the roller coaster sometimes, but I'm here for it. And the last thing I want to impress upon you, though, is focus more outside of trading. And what I mean is, earlier I mentioned things bleeding into trading and things that don't cross over in or out of our trading business. One thing that can transfer into trading is a focus practice. Now, I want to give you an exercise. It's going to be exhausting at first, right? I know that. So let me just give you that caveat. So you want to start with a small time block because it's going to be a little bit taxing. You're building the muscle of presence. So this means for that time block, let's just say you start with 15 minutes. In that time frame, try to do everything very intently and very focused. And then you're going to build this time frame larger, right? 15 minutes one day, 16 minutes the next day, 20 minutes the next day, right? So you're going to build this muscle and you may have to even start at 5 minutes. But the goal is trying to do small actions perfectly with purpose. Keeping your mind with your body in your hands, right? It's amazing how we do things without even looking, right? Even as, kids do it all the time, but even adults, right? We might grab a spoon and then we're looking at the fridge where we're going to get the food from. And then we're pulling the food out, but we're looking at the microwave, right? With the plan to warm it up. But for small periods of time this week, you can increase the time that you're keeping your eyes with your hands. I want you to be extremely mindful with every action during that window. And this won't feel natural at first, right? You may even have to talk yourself through it, right? I'm going to grab this spoon out of this drawer. I'm opening the drawer. I'm grabbing the spoon. I'm closing the drawer. I'm setting the spoon here. I'm opening the refrigerator. I'm grabbing the leftover container. I'm opening the microwave. I'm putting the leftover container in the microwave. I'm going to press the 2-minute automatic button. I'm going to sit here, open YouTube while I wait. Right? So think about that, right? What I just did. Because you might say, oh, well, you're watching YouTube. You're wasting time or you're not Focus. The point is, it doesn't matter what you're doing. Bring yourself into what you're doing. And one thing, again, back to Bill Harris, when you bring that presence, it does change what you want to do, right? So at that moment, you're like, well, you know what? Now that I think about it, maybe I don't want to go to YouTube. Maybe there's something else I can do in this 2 minutes. Oh, you know what? There's some stains over there. Let me go clean those up. I'm wiping the stain, right? So better actions are going to come from this presence, but don't judge what you do. Just be present for what you do. I remember one time Bill Harris had got the question of how could I stop smoking? And he said, just by doing it mindfully, right? And I've heard Wayne Dyer, talk about a similar story. Smoke with all your heart. Every puff, be present, be there. And eventually, that leads towards the path of not doing it, because you can't do things that hurt us consciously. All of our issues, all of our sabotage, all of the things that take us away from our desires and what the purpose and the plan for our life was and what the Creator has for us. A lot of those things happen unconsciously. So for that small period of time, you're going to be in that moment. And these days, the now moment has become so elusive. But if you're practicing this, you're going to become better at being present, thus allowing the action of your trading to be a little bit easier, right? The action of only taking your best setups being a little easier to maintain. I'm so happy and thankful for a lot of things in my life. I'm thankful for you and you listening. I am thankful to be back here for a new season. I was talking with a friend. I've mentioned it on the show before. Maybe this is my 5-year mark coming up, or my 4-year mark. I don't know. It's somewhere around there. But I don't count, because I'll be here for the long haul. At least trading, right? Maybe not this show. But, I'm not counting. This is what I'm dedicated to doing. Rain, sleet, or snow. Smiles, frowns. So I hope today's episode helps. Thank you for listening. Have a great week, traders. Take those action steps. And here's to being the hero of your story. Thank you for joining me on this episode of the Trading Ascension Podcast. I hope you found valuable insights to help you on your day trading journey. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe to the podcast and leave a review. Your support by subscribing and leaving reviews helps me reach more traders like you and continue to provide this valuable content. Don't forget to head over to the tradingascension.com website for free resources, more tips, and exclusive content. If you can't wait till the next show, check out some of the previous episodes. They're great. But do join me on the next episode. And until then, keep ascending, stay mindful, and remember, your journey to mastering trading psychology for consistent profits starts with your willingness to embrace personal growth.